Okay, Last of the Independents. This is another Numbskull game, and again, I was given this as a review copy to get a little bit more publicity, I guess. Alright. So, the first thing is, if you don't like games with a lot of luck in them, even luck that kind of comes right at the end of the game, this is not the game for you. There's really not going to be a way to get around the luck that's involved in selecting the car of the year or in winning the different sections. It uses a system similar to that used in Bull Moose, which I just reviewed, and that's one where basically you throw all the chits, all the pieces that are in competition into a big pile, and you draw one out, and that one wins. And it gets, in many cases, it basically means that it gets all of the chits that you had at risk put into the next layer of risk sometimes, at least in the car of the year competition. Since it's a close, it probably tends to be a pretty damn close game most of the time, because there's capability to hinder someone who's in the lead. So it quite often will come down to a situation where the luck of the last draw in the game is going to be the deciding factor. Now that can be really exciting, but it can also make you feel like, okay, I played this all for kind of a roulette wheel game at the end, where maybe we had unequal chances of scoring the victory at the end, but most of us were in it, and it all really did come down to a series of probabilities. The thing is, though, that you're able to influence those probabilities a great deal in the game by your choices and by kind of stacking other luck factors, such as the draw of the cards, and your choices of how to play them and how to use them and how to hold on to them. I didn't hold on to cards much in my game, but I think that may actually be a strategy, is to withhold some of your power in your hand as either money that you can pile up, or as cards that, and by money I mean these little discs, which are essentially your resources, or as the cards themselves, because you won't look as dangerous in terms of your score, but you may have a lot more potential for gaining a lot of score in that case. I think there's a lot to this game in terms of different strategies to influence that set of probabilities at the very end of the game. But again, that's what it's going to probably come down to in most games, is how well you kind of manage those probabilities, and then, hey, did you just get lucky? Because you can just take a shot, at a high risk options and walk away the winner with that, in a way that most Euro games won't allow you to do. There are some ways to mitigate some of the luck that have been put out. So, for example, there's a card drafting option where I haven't tried playing and I haven't even really looked at it. But you can presume, well, some of these cards are much more powerful than others, and some of them kind of work together in a way that it would be nice to be able to control what your hand's going to be. So if you're passing cards doing a kind of drafting situation, well, you'd have some control over that, and that would make you feel maybe less blown about by luck. But honestly, what I felt was, given a random hand of cards, it's kind of fun to try to figure out how to work them together, which ones to use for trending, which ones to use for special abilities. In general, the special abilities are what really kind of are the more powerful aspects of the better cards, but they might not work for your particular situation, so you might not want to use them in quite the way you'd expect. Or you might want to stockpile them, like I was suggesting. It's not really my kind of game. It's a little too much thinking for the kind of Euros that I like. And that's one of the funny things about it is, so it's most Euros that have a lot of luck in them are kind of lighter games. This is not a lighter game. It takes here it says 90 minutes. I would say at least 2 hours in 6 players, probably more than that. In smaller number of players, it's going to go more quickly, and you're going to have maybe a little bit more control over what's going on in the table. So it might be a richer game for you in 3 or 4 than it is in 6. But yeah, it's got this this heavy luck factor that usually goes along with kind of shits and giggles type of fun games. Yeah, something like Damn Frost has a lot of luck in it, right? But Damn Frost, you're just rolling dice. Yeah, there's strategy in it, there's no question, but you're mainly just rolling dice and trying to race each other, and that's the luck factor. In this, there's a lot of thought that goes into figuring out how to optimize your position for that final luck. A lot more than there would be in a game like Damn Frost. More, the thinking kind of reminds me of the level of thinking in the Crayon Rails games, where you've got a lot of different aspects to put into mind at once as to how to balance things. But there's a little bit more to it than that even. In that game, you're usually just, well, can I make it there? Now, if you were playing Crayon Rails where you had to roll dice for your movement every time, that would probably be close to what this is. And that's actually an interesting way to play. But yeah, one of the problems is it does back-end the luck in the same kind of way that Bullfrog Goldfield did. Not to the same extent. I found this, I felt like I had a significant impact by my prior play in the earlier stages of the game on where my position would be at the end. But that position became more, do I want to be in the lead at the end and have people gunning for me, or do I want to kind of sandbag and hold some stuff back, which I really didn't do. As to the components themselves, you got your nice little wooden pieces. They work fine. The cards I talked about in the intro, there was a certain stickiness to them, but it seems to be wearing off, and otherwise they're pretty good. They're flexible and sturdy at the same time, which, just, you have to shuffle them and play with them once, and I guess they heal. These guys are cool as hell. This is one of the coolest things in the game, is each company has its own sort of set attributes that it's good at. And that means that you're always going to have an added option in these areas. On the other hand, the bad part is you have to buy all these back each time, and they're actually kind of a limitation. So you have like 2 pools of money. You have a pool of money that's allocated on these, that's your core capabilities, and you must fill these. You don't have to actually play them, but you must have your card filled with them. And then you have these flexible ones that you can put wherever you like, if you want. On the back of each of these is a description of the company and the founder of the company and the like, and that's some good historical information there that I have to take a chance to peek over. I didn't really look at it. The board itself, it's a little flimsier than maybe some of it. Kind of warps a little bit. Some of the Numbskull stuff seems to be pretty good stock. This seems a little lighter, a little more susceptible. Maybe it's just that it's older and I haven't looked at my older games for a while. It's functional. It divides the board nicely into the 3 sections. The rules, on the other hand, are barely functional. I'm finding this again and again. with stuff Patrick's doing is that he tries to go so sparse on the rules that there is almost not enough to understand them here. I've seen some people say that they're incomplete. I don't think they are. I think everything's here. It's just not presented in the easiest to absorb manner. Of course, if I played it completely wrong, it's all his fault. No, I don't know. I mean, perhaps they are wrong, but I found a game that I could understand in them, and one that I had some fun with, and that I could see other people than me enjoying a great deal more. I would also enjoy it more not playing it solo. It's not really, it's a game where you've got a lot of hidden information, and it's kind of all about the what you're holding back, what you're bluffing, what you're planning on doing that the other guy doesn't know. So, you got to see the mechanisms at play, but you didn't really get to see the spirit of how the game would actually go. I think that whole the luck factor could be really, really a rollicking good time for with some groups. Even with all the thinking and everything, it still comes down to that. Oh man! Oh come on! And I can see some guys I used to play with. I'm thinking one in particular. Would really, really be getting into that really, really heavily, and very much enjoy that, and would also enjoy the amount of thought that goes into it. But he would hate it if he thought he had everything all set up, and the odds were like 60% in his favor in terms of winning the game, and then something random happened and he lost at the end. He would rate the game a 1 for that and never want to touch it again. It's kind of funny that way. You could be having a fantastic time with the game, and then one little thing at the end, and it's like, no, never, never, never. I hate this game. And I think this would quite probably trigger a feeling like that at some point. He usually likes very heavy games. I think this is a fairly heavy game in terms of the thinking that's involved in it. It's just, there is a chance for someone who's doing very poorly to catch up, and there is a chance for someone who just risks all after doing very poorly to win the whole game. Anyway, there are some ways to mitigate it. I would say that if you don't like luck, there are better choices out there. If you do like luck and you're willing to reduce it somewhat, this might still be a pretty good choice for you. But I think what it really plays into is people who don't mind a game sitting on a big chance event or a lot of big chance events. Although really it comes down to the end, because like in the coin series, like in a number of other games, there's going to be kind of this balance of power. When you give people the ability to really directly affect each other heavily, and you do in this game, you also give them the ability to keep it so close that if there is luck in it, it all comes down to luck at the end, no matter what. And that, I can see that feeling a little cheap. Probably worth it just for the artwork on the cards, the information and everything in a lot of ways. I would keep an eye out for it if the subject matter interests you at all, just as that would probably also draw you into it. I know I love some of these cards, but one of the problems that I have with the game is it really is very much a Euro. It's got the cars, it's got cards that kind of match them, and they all kind of align and everything. It's all thematic and everything in that way, but I don't feel like I'm really doing much to do with the subject at hand. I feel like I'm playing this kind of resource allocation with little discs instead of cubes, and cards that have these events on them, but I don't feel like I'm running a car company in any sense of the word. I don't feel like I'm making the kind of decisions. So, for example, in automobile, I do feel like I'm making those kind of decisions. It's very abstracted, but I feel like I am. Something like business management, boy, do I feel like I'm making those decisions. In this, I feel like I'm playing a heavy Euro that's themed to automobiles. And that's about it. Turned it up.